Hello friends, welcome back to another exciting series on Jenkins tutorial for beginners part 2. Sorry for posting this video late since I've been not keeping well from last few weeks. Today I'm feeling little better and thought of recording this session. So in today's video, we are going to basically walk through certain steps of how to install Jenkins on AWS EC2 instance. Before we proceed with that, let's understand some prerequisites needed to proceed with our Jenkins installation on AWS EC2 instance. So the first point here is Jenkins prerequisite. Since Jenkins is written in Java, we need to install the Java on EC2 instance, be it Java 1.8 or Open Jdk 11, doesn't matter. The second important point is AWS prerequisites. Without having an AWS account, you would not be able to log in to AWS console management and start creating the EC2 instance. If you haven't watched my video on how to create your first AWS account, please go through the link which I'm going to post in this video. The fourth point we are going to do is once the EC2 instance is created and up and running, we are going to connect that EC2 instance using SSH by PuTTY. The next is installing the Jenkins on EC2 instance. This is where I'm going to walk through certain commands of how to install your Jenkins on EC2 instance. And then we are going to start the Jenkins service. Once the Jenkins is installed, now is the time to access our Jenkins from the internet. And the second last point is setting up our Jenkins first build job, which I'm going to walk through in our demo session. None the least is once you have installed the Jenkins and once you have run your first build job, now the time is to uninstall the Jenkins if you are not going to use that. So these are some of the topics which I'm going to walk through in this video. So without any delay, let's get started. Before we proceed with our demo session, let's first understand what is security group in AWS. So security group is nothing but it acts as your normal firewall for EC2 instance. It's the place where you define what should be incoming traffic and what should be outgoing traffic from form and two of EC2 instance. By default, one security group is attached defaultly to EC2 instance. So that's very important to understand how are you going to control your incoming and outgoing traffic from EC2 instances. As soon as you log into the AWS management console, the console homepage gets open, and that's how it looks like. On the left-hand side, you have the list of services offered by AWS for us. And then there is a search bar where you want to search for a specific service. On the right-hand side, you have something called as a cloud shell, and then notification stuff. And then you have the list of region where AWS has its data center. Currently, I am logged into US East 1, which is North Virginia. And then on the extreme right side, you will have your profile related details. So let's click on services and click EC2. The moment I click that, the EC2 dashboard console gets open. On the left hand side, you will have instances, images, Elastic, block store, network security, load balancing, auto scaling. We are now interested more on the security groups, which you will see in the mid of this EC2 dashboard, which is security groups. You can either click on this security group, or on the left hand side under network and security, you can click the security group. So as soon as I click on the security group, I have a default security group already associated with my VPC. Now let's create our security group for the Jenkins. And to do that, let's click on create security group. The moment I click on that, a page gets open where I need to fill up the details, like what is going to be the security group name, description, adding inbound rules. That's where we are going to control the incoming traffic to our EC2 instances. So let me name Jenkins master, the security. And now let's go to an inbound session and click add rule. We need 3 rules. One is SSH, HTTP, and HTTPS. So I'm clicking add rule 3 times. Now I will select SSH and the port range automatically gets populated, which is 22. Let me click HTTPS or HTTP. The moment I click HTTP, the port range is 80, and then we have something called as HTTPS, where the port range is 433. Now we want to make sure that none of other than my IP address does the SSH to my EC2 instance. And that's where I'm going to select my IP in the source dropdown. In the HTTP and HTTPS, as we are going to access our Jenkins page on the internet, let's select anywhere IP4. And that's where we are not limiting the IP addresses for accessing our Jenkins page over HTTP or HTTPS. Now let's name this as SSH, HTTP, and HTTPS. Let's for now leave the outbound rules. Moving to the last session, which is tags optional. It's always better to name or associate some tag with the security. So let's type as Jenkins master, and I'll just keep the value same as this. And now I will click on create security group. The moment I do that, the security group name as Jenkins master is created. And in that we have an inbound rule, and the outbound rule we just leave as it is. And we have a tag called as Jenkins master. Now let's create our EC2 instance. To do that, let's click on EC2 dashboard, which I have already done. And now I'm going to launch the instance. That's what I'm going to do by clicking launch instance. And this will launch the instance in the region US East, which you see here. And it also says that the health of this data center is normal. So let's click on launch instance, and we'll click launch instance. You also get an option of launch instance form template if you want to use a specific template for that. So let's just click on launch instance. The moment I click on the launch instance, that's where the page gets open, and it's basically asking me to name the instance. So I will write Jenkins -master, And then you have the list of AMIs which you want to use. So let's just use the free available tier, right, by clicking on AWS. And the moment, okay, I select here the free tier eligible. Make sure you select this because we do not want any charge to be there for our AMI image or using the other stuff, right? So I'm just clicking on free tier, and this is what is the detail. If I have the key pair name already, I will do that. If not, I will create a new key pair. So let's create a new key pair and name this as Jenkins master. This key pair is nothing but a public and private key which we will use to connect to our EC2 instance using putty, right? So for putty, I'm going to use PPK, and that's where I'm going to create the Jenkins master. Right, so I've created the Jenkins master. I am now going to download the PPK file on my local drive. That's what I have downloaded. The network security, okay, so I already have, remember we created the security group, right? So we have already a security group, and let's select Jenkins master. So now I'm associating SSH inbound rule, HTTP inbound rule, and HTTPS inbound rule with this EC2 instance. Let's just keep the configuration. Let's click on advanced details, and let's just leave that as it is. Once you're done, you now need to click on launch instance. The moment I click that, it starts launching the instance. And how can I see that? View all instances. And that's where my Jenkins instance is getting created. It's still in the pending stage. Let's just refresh that. So friends, you can see our Jenkins server is up and running. Now we are going to connect it using SSH. So let's click on connect, and you see you have three options: EC2 Instance Connect, Session Manager, SSH Console, and EC2 Serial Console. So let's focus on SSH. So I've already downloaded the PPK, which you have seen, right, already. So I'm going to demonstrate of connecting to the SSH using the MOBA X. All I'm going to do is click on this screen, select SSH, type the host name, and we know what is the username. If you don't know, all you need to do is go here and select this. So the moment you do this, now you are here, and go to an advanced settings, use private, and then you just need to select the key which we have done, right? So let me see, we have downloaded this, and now let's click OK. So friends, we are already now connected to the EC2 instance, and that's what you see on the screen. If I type ID, let me see, it gives me this, the host name. Okay, now let's clear the screen. I have basically downloaded the steps or already written the steps, which I'm going to execute one by one by showing to you. So first, let's type which Amazon Linux extra, whether that command or that utility is already present or not. And that's what it gives us. Now, let's type or enable the Open Jdk. As Jenkins uses the Java or is written in Java, we need to install Jenkins, and we need to install Java, and that's what we are going to do. So now it says clean the metadata and then install the Java 11 Open Jdk, which you see here. So all I'm going to do is sudo yum clean metadata. I have cleaned up. All I'm going to now start executing or installing Java 11 Open Jdk, and it's now installing that. Yeah, so the Java is already installed, which you see on the screen. Transaction successful, installing Python packages, little bit of Java Open Jdk, which you see here. Installing Java headless this, installing this, Java packages installed, and that's what we see on the screen, that the Java has been installed. If we type Java --version, it should give us, right? And that's what we see here. Now let's install our Jenkins. For that, all you need to do is sudo yum install Jenkins. Oh, sorry, the typo error. And it's installing it now. Okay, so why you see that? Because we have not yet installed the repo. So for that, let's first get the Jenkins repo, which we are going to do it, which we got it. Now let's import the key from the repo, which we have done. And now we are going to basically install the Jenkins. But before that, let's install something called as EPL packages, which is used by Amazon EC2 Instance. So now if I type yum install Jenkins, it's getting the Jenkins package from that repo, which we got it right in our earlier command using wget, and that's what it is doing. So the CPU is still so it's waiting for the process or the memory to get, or a resource to be allocated so that it can install the package. And if you see now, it is downloading the package. So once this is downloaded, we are going to basically enable the Jenkins service, right? And that's what is the next command. It's sudo yum service Jenkins enable service Jenkins enable, something like that. You see that command, what it is, and it's sudo systemctl enable Jenkins. That's what we are doing, right? We have enabled now the services as well. Now let's start the Jenkins, and that's what we have done by executing sudo systemctl start Jenkins. So this will take a minute or two to start the service, and then we are going to verify whether the Jenkins service has been started or not by using a simple command sudo systemctl status Jenkins. You can also use sudo service status Jenkins to see whether the Jenkins service is running or not. And now I have typed sudo systemctl status Jenkins, and we see the Jenkins is duly running, right? Also, you can check using ps-ef grep, and that's what we see. I hope you got the steps which are needed to install the Jenkins on EC2 server or EC2 instance. Don't worry, I'm going to paste all these steps in the video description. You can see we have installed the Jenkins, and the Jenkins service is up and running, which you can see active and running, and also the service is enabled. That's not an issue. So let's now log in to the browser and see whether we are able to access the Jenkins page or not. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the instance which I have already done, going on the details tab and copying the public IP4 address by clicking copy to the keyboard. And then I'm going to go to the browser and type 8080 port from where the Jenkins is accessible. And you see the site is not reachable. That means we haven't opened the port 8080 for our EC2 instance to access, right? To do that, let's go back to the EC2 management console, click on security and click on the security group. And now we are going to add the inbound rule of 8080. So all I'm going to do is add TCP, and then I'm going to write here 8080, and I'm going to write custom from anywhere. At the same time, we had then our HTTP custom anywhere HTTPS. Remember, we had that. So I'm adding that. Now let's save the rules. Okay, and now let's try to access. And you see our Jenkins page has been opened, but now we need to unlock that Jenkins page by entering the administrative password. For that, all we need to go to is copy this into a notepad, okay, which I've already done. If you can see, I've written sudo cat this. Now what I'm going to do is going to my EC2 terminal. Here we are on EC2 terminal. Let me clear up the screen quickly by typing clear, and let me just paste that command. And in that, I'm just going to write sudo cat. And that's what I got, an administrative password. Let's copy this into the notepad. And then quickly go to our web page and just copy this and click continue. And now you are there. Now let's install the suggested plugins. Select that, and it's installing the suggested plugins, which can be your Git and SSH build agent plugins, email extension plugins, which we see here, right? We have pipeline plugins as well, right? So it's getting installed. So once this is installed, it will prompt for the new username and the password, and that's what we are going to enter. So let's just wait for that. And now the page has prompted for us to enter the new username and the password. Let's just keep it very simple. Admin 123, password 123, full name. Let's just write an admin. And since you need to get a notify whenever build gets complete or kind of thing, you can write that, right? Just save it, continue. Okay, continue as an admin. And this is where your Jenkins URL would be, where you can access your Jenkins. And let's just copy this URL if you want into a notepad. And then let's click on save finish. And now you can see our Jenkins setup is complete. Jenkins is running on AWS EC2 instance. Let's just click start using Jenkins. So moment you click, you see a Jenkins welcome page, and you see on the left hand side, new item, people, build history, manage Jenkins, my views, new views, build queue and build executor, you will have node 1 and node 2, which are now idle. On the right hand side, you see the welcome page, and then you can set up an agent, configure a cloud or etc. So now let's click on manage Jenkins. So the moment you click that, you get this page where you can do the configuration of it. Now, if you want to install the new plugins, all you need to do is click on manage plugins, and you just need to search for the plugin name. So since I want to search for the GitHub, I can just do that, and it says Git is available. The version of problem exists, it's unavailable right now. So we can also install Git if we want to see the Git is already installed. These are the packages which are already installed, but in case you need any other packages, let's see if we need AWS package, anything, search for that. Available. Okay, so we have Git server available, we have pipeline, we have authentication, Java doc. These are the installed plugins right now with default when the Jenkins gets, and then you have an advanced, right? So let me see if we can get something for AWS. Yes, we see that we have Cloud B, AWS, we have Amazon Web Service SDK, we have an EC2 plugin as well. ECR, IME, ECS container, cloud formation plugin. Then you have pipeline AWS steps plugin, EC2. Let's use this, and let's just say install without restarting. So now if you see, it has installed without restarting it. So that's how it is. Let's click on the new item, and let's just write our first program, which is called by Jenkins demo on EC2, and let's click freestyle project. Now, once you click on this freestyle project, a page gets open where you can write the description of the project. Then you have source code management, where you can basically club in your Git repository. Then you have something called as a build triggers. So build triggers are basically used for basically getting your build trigger remotely by using some scripts, which is the first option. Build periodically, GitHub hook for GSTM. Then you have something called as a poll SCM. All these things we will go in detail in our next demo. Then you have something called as a build environment. So if you want to do a fresh restart of the build, then you can select these are the options. Then you have something called as a build. This is where you can add whether you want to execute using the Windows batch command, execute shell, and script, Gitl script. Then you have Maven targets. You have a couple of other options. So let's now just select something called as execute shell. And then we are going to write here echo welcome to Jenkins world. All we are going to do is now, then before saving it, let's go to the option called as a post build action. So what action you want to do after your build is complete? There would be something that we want to send out an email notification. That's what we have. We want to publish our build to Git repository. That's what you can do it using Git publisher. So we will be going through all these in detail in our next session. So as of now, I'm just going to save this. All I'm going to do is go to my build now, click on the build now, and then I'm going to see here, you see here, the build is getting executed. Let me click on this build, and let's click on console output. And that's what you see, right? The command has been executed successfully, and we see welcome to Jenkins world has been typed or out. We can see that on our console, right? So this is what how the Jenkins looks like, and this is how you can execute a simple shell command using the Jenkins build. So if you have liked this video, kindly do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and until then, take care. Bye bye.